The tea is exceptionally good today. Who made this? Very delicious. Hold on.
Hey, my cosmic cousins. It's your girl, Nova Charm, and welcome to another episode of Astrology Tea with Nova Charm. Now, you already know you need to go ahead and grab your favorite mug so I could go ahead and pour you up some of this tea. And this is going to be some good tea, y'all. It's kind of giving Blue Lotus. That's what it feels like, okay? Because on today's episode, we are talking about Neptune and Pisces going direct. Yes. And this is going down December 10th. We are ending an era, okay? Because come January of 2026, we will be going into Aries. Now, when I say the energy that we are building and we are walking into is going to be felt for generations, I'm not even lying. It literally is going to be felt for generations, baby. So you know I got to give you the tea on it, okay? But before I do, you already know what it is. Go ahead and hit that like. Go ahead and subscribe to your girl. And go ahead and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this cosmic tea that I be trying to sip with y'all. Stop playing. Now let's get into it, okay? Now, this cycle that we are closing out is pretty big. I'm not going to lie. First of all, Neptune has been in Pisces, which Pisces is that's home for Pisces. Neptune is where Pisces lives. So it's been at home since 2011, okay? So the tea on Neptune is the planet of dreams, illusions, spirituality, your subconscious. So Pisces sitting there quietly, in the cut at the house for the last 14 years is the reason why everybody has been on their spiritual journey. In actuality, I know everybody wants to blame it on the age of Aquarius. Technically, we're not quite in the age of Aquarius. I know it stings, but technically, if we're looking at it astrologically, we're not in the age of Aquarius. Pluto does not set the age, okay? But I digress, okay? The reason why everybody has been on their spiritual journey is because Pisces has been quietly sitting at home for the last 14 years, okay? And now she's maxed out, okay? She's ready to get on the move and do some other things, but she went into retrograde for a little bit, gave us some time to reflect early on this year, but now she's coming out of her slumber and she's ready to go forth, okay? It's time to start new eras, and Aries is ready to come over to Neptune, okay? It's ready to go over there and chill for a little bit, aka it's ready to do its 14-year bid, okay? Yeah. Now, this is actually incredibly huge, though, because Pisces, if you didn't know, is the 12th zodiac. That means that it has all of the energies of all the other 11 previous zodiacs within its universal wheelhouse of energy. That's why Pisces energy is so empathic and it feels things very deeply, because it's already felt all the other energies of the other zodiacs, okay? Now, with that being said, it takes Neptune 165 of our years, okay, to go around the sun. That means to go through all 12 of the zodiacs. So for it to be at Pisces, and we're closing out this Pisces chapter, baby, we are doing this one for the ancestors, okay? And because of the fact that we are going into that Aries energy in 2026, which will be in January 2026, it definitely requires our full attention. Okay, it definitely does. Okay, we are literally setting off an era for our generations, our legacies. We're talking about what the world would look like beyond just physical as well. They're talking about spiritual. This is a big one, but no pressure in that. Now, the planet Neptune encourages compassion and imagination, but it can also bring confusion and escapism when that reality is avoided. Now, because Pisces is literally ruled by Neptune, this transit from 2011 through 2026 was actually very powerful, okay? It amplified our themes with emotions, our intuition. It brought us back to, just the it got us back to the soil. We meditating. We out here doing what we can with astrology. You see me, I'm over here giving you this astrology tea. A lot of us got connected to herbal medicine. I mean, there was just a lot of getting back to spirit during this time, just getting back to it. And it just gave us this heavy, big overall connection to the collective unconscious. Like, this ain't even the thing that we even thinking about, because the things that we think about are our conscious. The unconscious is the things that we don't even think about, we can't control, the things that we don't even see. Now, another reason why this energy is incredibly big during this time is because Saturn is also doing its transits and teaming up with Neptune. Like, them two need to be rolling together, child. But, I mean, we've been going through this for the last few years with Saturn being in Pisces. But Saturn recently just came out of retrograde as well, which, if you haven't had a chance, go ahead and check out my video. You already know I got a video on the channel. Go ahead and check it out. Okay, let me get back to it. But yeah, so Neptune and Saturn been rolling together for the last few years. And they're going to keep rolling together for the next few years because they're both going and crossing over to Aries, kind of, together a little bit. And then Saturn going to come in with all the responsibility, all that heavy lifting. Yeah, it's a lot of work coming in with Saturn. So, yeah, Saturn is not playing. So there should be a lot of attention that we should be giving to this transit because, like I said, this is going to be something that we are literally setting up for generations. Like, when I think about this energy, it gives a legacy. Like, are you going to be that ancestor that is in the photo, the big family photo that sits in the master hallway of the grand mansion? Like that's what it gives. Like, this is my great great grandmother, this is my great great grandfather, and they discovered this or they did that, and this is the reason why we have all of this today. That's what it gives. Like, we starting a whole legacy. Like, it's a lot of responsibility though. Like, no joke. Like, we got to get it together. We got to focus, y'all. Like, this pairing of energy really just sets up for like a complete new spiritual and material reality, like all around. Okay. Now, this is the moment we stop letting ourselves go way out to the sea. We got to start finding our way back to the shore. We got to come back to reality, and we got to start making some concrete plans and putting together some concrete actions. I cannot stress this enough. Okay. Now, Neptune's transits be long as hell. Okay. Pisces intensified that spirituality and that creativity universally. Now, Pisces run through Neptune definitely did its thing as far as getting us back in touch with our spirituality and really seeing things the way that we need to see things. Now, even though Pisces is the planet of, a little bit of illusion, a little bit of delusion behind that, okay? So as we move closer to closing out this Pisces cycle, we're kind of getting away from that little delusional behavior and getting more, aggressive with it. That Aries energy is a little bit more assertive, and we're not going to sit back and just be living in a land of delusion anymore. It's just not possible. There's a balance that has to happen with each energy. And so when it comes to the energy of each of the signs, they have from 0 to 29 degrees, okay? Once we start to get closer to that 29 degrees, it starts to become redundant, okay? It's like enough is enough. Like, we've taken it way too far, okay? So that's why whenever you get to that close of that maxness, and that 29 degree, it's faded because it's like, no, we just can't do any more of this energy, right? So as we gotten closer to closing out this Pisces and Neptune cycle, we're starting to see things fade. The illusion is fading, like literally. Like, okay, so Neptune also represents like glamour and like that Hollywood type of energy. Now think about how we feel about Hollywood right now. Think about it. We don't feel too kind about it. The illusion of that whole lifestyle that they live is completely gone. It's completely gone. We don't look at that the same no more. And if you think about where we're at right now with the churches, I mean, y'all see where I'm coming from right now, okay? A lot of the illusions that we have had around certain things are, the rug is being pulled from that because that Pisces energy is maxing out, okay? And I mean, that rug is being pulled from all directions. I mean, we talking about the government, churches, like everything that's going on, from the food that we're eating. I mean, literally everything. Like, the illusion is over, okay? Now, of course, each astrological energy has their own spectrum of expression. That means everybody has their dark side, okay? And Neptune in Pisces definitely did its thing, okay? And we played it out. We definitely did. During this time, we did a lot of escapism. We spent a lot of time online. You know, Pisces deals with the virtual of things. So we spent a lot of time virtually. A lot of us did a lot of doom scrolling during this time. Didn't get a lot done. A lot of us was doing a lot of Instagram spirituality. We was blindly trusting people, you know, just without, you know, there was a lot of that. Like, yeah. Now, because Neptune is a planet that is literally just out there, kind of like out of bounds, we tend to not have many boundaries when Neptune influence is present, okay? AKA, we've been letting too many people play with us, okay? Now, in 2026, there's going to be a heavy emphasis on declaring that boundary. I really feel like Aries energy, that's why it's so assertive, because every time we're getting back around to that point of that new start, it's like, oh, y'all ain't about to play with me this time. You know, that's that's what it almost feels like, okay? Like, you've had enough of your boundaries being stepped over with that 12th house energy. So it's like, no, this new start, y'all not finna play with me. That's what it almost gives, okay? Now, just so you can just be very clear on the heaviness of this transit, we have to look back 165 years previous, like when Neptune was in Pisces previous, okay? Now, these transits actually don't give spiritual retreat, if you will, just so you know. It doesn't give that. I mean, you would think it would, but it don't. It don't. Now, generally, this is a time of geopolitical shifts, like a collapse of sorts, to establish those boundaries, preparing for the new ground of the empire foundation, right? So that energy actually brings a lot of chaos, okay? If you wasn't catching where I was going with that, it brings chaotic energy, okay? So if we look back around this time in the 1800s, we were talking about like the European Revolution, the American Civil War. Yeah. Now, also during that time, there was a rise in spirituality and mysticism that actually was like became a thing. It was actually discovered. There was all kinds of scientific and technology leaps around that time. Like, yeah. So Pisces energy is not always just about keeping you in the illusion or the delusion of it all. It's also about uncovering the illusion and the delusion of it all, the unconsciousness of it collectively. And when Saturn comes in the building, you already know that energy did not come to play with any of us, okay? Now, that Neptune energy in Pisces right now is definitely making an offer of a vision that we need to collectively be trying to see. This energy is a last minute time to kind of really challenge yourself, to really dive deep into your imagination and not place any boundaries on what you can actually do with yourself, with your future, with your legacy, with, you know, generations down the line. This is not a time to limit your vision. The fantasy of thought is what actually creates. It takes us into that initiative spark that Aries energy brings in, that physicality of it all, that action of go time and to let's make it happen. And Saturn is definitely coming in to make sure that this is foundational. See, the universe really do be supporting us. It really is just up to us to understand the energy and work with the energy, okay? So the synastry of energy that we're dealing with right now with the Neptune plus Saturn influence is bringing about a certain stability in our focus as well as our vision. While Neptune is that grand, compassionate, universal possibilities, Saturn definitely comes in with that structure, that stability, that, yeah, let's make some common sense out of all of this, okay? Let's make it realistic. Now, this energy is being amplified because once again, we have a water trine going on outside. That's bringing Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune are all in water signs right now. And they're in just enough distance to be a very much support of one another. So this really gives the energy of manifesting your dreams into reality. Saturn, of course, wants to ensure that it's rooted in practicality. Now, this conjunction definitely has a spiritual maturity to it. Neptune energy really brought in that compassionate energy, that wanting and wishing of a better world. And it really gave us that vision. Now, Pisces in Saturn wants us to come up with a plan of action on how we can actually make that happen. Now, Pisces energy also deals with the ocean. Combined with that Saturn influence, I would definitely look for regulations around water or some type of restrictions regarding water use or a new cleanup system. Keeping in mind that we are finishing out like a cycle that is, like I said, our ancestors have the energy on it. Like there's really a lot of collective karma that has been crystallized and it is basically being structured and we're going to feel it. But of course, this energy is going to definitely affect us differently based on our rising sign. And you know, I'm going to go ahead and give you the tea on that based on your rising. Okay. Now, because this is such a long transit, this is not something that's going to show up overnight. This is something that gradually takes its time and, you know, just kind of builds and plays in the background. This is why this energy naturally just kind of lets itself go and just floats, which is fine. But at some point, you got to have your boundaries. There has to be a nice little middle ground between going way out to sea and finding your shore. Okay. And your rising sign is definitely going to indicate to you where you need to build those anchors. So let's get into it. Now, for my Aries risings, Neptune is dissolving all the boundaries around your inner life, your hidden life, your unconscious realm. This transit definitely inspired you to take a deep dive into your creative, almost like an incubator. It's like almost being in the waters of the womb, okay? But you need to definitely take some boundaries and place some boundaries within your inner realm, okay? What I mean is you've probably been dealing with a lot of energetic vampires that can sense this energy on you. So you just got to make sure that you enforce those boundaries because that empathetic nature right now is really kicking in. Like you can really feel other people's pain. And so because of that, sometimes people who haven't necessarily gotten to a healed point in their life will try to steal your light because they can't find none of their own. Okay, so you have to really be careful of that. Now, definitely take the creative incubator energy as well as that spiritual downtime energy as a gift. Okay, just be cautious of any energetic leaks, anxiety that could be happening around this time, or any hidden karma. Okay, Saturn is expressing to you that you're going to need some healing practices. You're going to have to start a healing routine, as well as you're going to have to really be adamant about keeping those energetic vampires away from you. Okay, refuse them. Okay, it's a no-go. Now, my Taurus rising, this is actually transiting your 11th house, dealing with community, hopes, and your friends. Now, of course, this is going to impact your relationships, your platonic connections, though. Any groups that you have been joining or thinking about joining, or any long-term hopes, okay? Now, during this time, you may have formed some otherworldly type of vibes, like spiritual connections, other realm type of energies dealing with within your networks. Okay. The 11th house also deals with like that alien, authentic type of energy. So there's been a really big emphasis on how you come across to your friend groups as well as on the internet, online. There's been almost like a big rebranding of you and almost like through your spirit, though. This isn't just about physical, even though with the Taurus rising, it can end up being physical because that's how you guys like to express yourself as well. But yeah, it's more like from the inside out type of energy. And you definitely have been hearing a lot of spiritual information. You've almost been bombarded with it. And that's almost like a boundary that you have to have as well. Some of that information is being welcomed. However, some of that is you have to be careful of people just pushing their views onto you. You know, this is about finding your authentic voice, your authentic thoughts. That way, the natural collective that is supposed to be in your energy will be there. You know what I mean? So the gift for you during this time is that otherworldly connections that you have definitely been getting, all those downloads that you've been receiving, and all of that information that you have been receiving while you've been networking with other spiritual individuals. Okay, you guys have definitely been boosting each other's intuition, and yeah, it's been an experience. However, the caution of this boundary is sometimes you could be feeling overwhelmed in these groups as well, you know? If things aren't aligning with your highest good, and I mean your highest good specifically, then don't accept the information. You know, don't take any type of information that is not welcomed or does not, you know, put you on that pedestal of where you need to be. You need to assert your boundaries. This is your anchor, is asserting your boundaries and being completely authentic to self. And do not, and I repeat, do not be the sacrificial lamb for your friend group, okay? Or for anybody, okay? Now, for my Gemini risings, this actually falls in the 10th house of career, public image, and status. This also has a little karmic twinge to it. You already know with that Saturn influence, okay? Now, there's a certain strictness to this energy because, like I said, you already know that Neptune and Saturn have been rolling together these days, okay? So by this transit in particular, rolling through your 10th house, which is that Saturn house, it kind of has that karmic retribution energy on it. Now, karma can be good or bad. When people hear karma, they automatically think bad because, you know, we traumatized as hell. Okay. But karma can also be good depending upon how you work. Saturn just makes you work for it. Okay. But the thing about it with Neptune is it actually kind of makes it easy for you to achieve that. So, I mean, it's kind of giving you a gift. You just got to be willing to use it correctly. Now, Neptune here kind of gives you that good filter. Okay, it kind of gives you a free of charge of a cosmic glam up. Okay, this is why putting together a plan for you is going to be so crucial because you have this good energy on you. However, during this time with Neptune being here, you probably have a little bit of professional life confusion going on right now. It's probably weighing on you a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. You're probably feeling it a little bit, but you know, don't worry about it. It's not something for you to actually put any worry into. It's just something that you just need to organize and be consistent with. Now, for you as a Gemini rising, that in itself, okay, that right there in itself, being consistent with it is going to present the challenge, okay? As a Gemini rising, you might lean a little bit more into the escapist energy of that Neptune energy, but just make sure that you don't. Okay, make sure that, you know, you have your time for play, but you also have your time for work. Okay, there has to be that balance. Now, during this time, you also may have been experiencing like some psychic gifts, dealing with the public world, which have probably been completely overwhelming for you. First of all, trusting your gifts is number one. Okay, that's always going to be number one. But secondly, just making sure that you do breathing exercising, meditation. As an air rising, breath work is the perfect way to ground yourself. Okay, and that's going to be major because you're going to have to ground your visions. Okay, you have so many ideas, so many creative ideas. Can't do all of them though, okay? You have to just pick 1, 2, maybe 3, okay? But pick one at a time and really just stay focused on that, okay? Build into it. Create the vision. So just to review, your gifts during this time are your psychic gifts and your cosmic glam up, okay? Now this is for the public image, okay? Now, the fallback of this energy right now, like I said, you're probably dealing with a little bit of professional confusion and you're probably leaning a little bit more on the escapist type of energy. So you really have to just find your anchor within your practical application of the insight. Okay, so basically being able to come up with a thorough plan and sticking with it. Okay. Now, for my Cancer risings, this actually falls in your 9th house, dealing with beliefs, visions, and of course your higher insight, your wisdom, okay? This also deals with your abundance and making things bigger, okay? Do it way big, all right? Now, with this type of transit, your belief system was definitely heavily impacted with this transit, okay? It literally took you on a journey. In Cancer Rising, you have set some major goals for yourself, some that others might be looking at as unrealistic, trying to doubt you. But that's okay though, because visions are only given to you. They're not given to the world. If they're given to the world, then they would just be on a billboard, okay? Now, with that being said, Saturn definitely is going to play its part. So you have to make sure that even though your visions are big, you want to make sure that they are definitely realistic, okay? You want to make sure that it's something that you are able to actually accomplish. Basically, don't put too much on your plate. This isn't about you being able to achieve it. This is about you being greedy with it, okay? This is about you not being able to spare your time and bogging yourself down to the point to where you start to get anxiety and nothing gets done. Now, in addition, I'm sure you've been dealing with a whole lot of spiritual experiences. Now, Cancer Risings, you already have this like natural, intuitive nature about you, okay? With this type of transit, it actually took you on a deeper spiritual mission. And it feels like it's almost thrown you off a little bit, okay? And you definitely have been absorbing a lot of energies, like almost on a massive level. Like every time you see, turn on the news, you're absorbing energies. Every time you go to scroll, you're absorbing energies. You just have to be really careful of that, Cancer Rising. Just be cautious and making sure you're not doing too much, because Jupiter energy can be greedy like that sometimes and can really just do the most, okay? So your gift during this time is definitely your visions and honoring that dream life that you've been seeing. Now, you want to make sure that you keep it in a boundary that is realistic to you and as far as the expectations, okay? Honor your psychic experiences without, finding them to be overwhelming. Find a way to really ground yourself during that time so it doesn't turn into anxiety, okay? Having discernment in relationships and discernment within your psychic experiences is going to be your anchor during this time, okay? Now, let's move on to my Leo risings. Now, Leo risings, this falls in your 8th house. Transformation, intimacy, and shared resources. Now, child, I know you was feeling this transit, okay? This transit definitely went to the deep, deep depths of your soul, okay? It was like a light was shined on that unseen realm. You was really drawn to it. All through about the psychic healing, dealing with things in nature, dealing with death and rebirth. That has been your zhuzh, okay? You've been really interested in that and really wanting more information regarding that. You've also have been really desiring that soul-changing type of relationship bonding. That deep intimacy that is not just, surface level. You want something deeper. You've been really wanting deep bonds during this time. But with that Neptune influence as well as that Saturn, there was kind of an illusion around the power dynamics as well as trust issues and shared resources. And all of that had to come to the light, okay? Your gift during this time was definitely that mystic transformation, that healing, and that surrender. But that boundary has to come in with that trust. Now, this is not just trusting of others. This is also in trusting yourself. And stop being willingly confused. I feel like some of y'all are really just confused on purpose because you don't want to believe what it is, but you have to start accepting things as they are. Now, your anchor around this time is going to be your financial and your emotional accountability. These things definitely go hand in hand, and being able to really stand on that accountability is going to be very helpful for you during this time, okay? Just accept your fuck ups, take it as it comes, and learn from it and move on from it, okay? All right, now for my Virgos, my Virgo risings, this actually falls in the 7th house of partnerships. Now, these is contractual agreements as well. Now, Neptune is going to be dissolving all the boundaries on your one-on-one relationships. It's going to bring about a powerful longing for a karmic spiritual soul union, okay? AKA, you're not going to want to do like the fake shit. You're going to want something that's going to really bring in a partnership that's going to lock it in for the legacies down the line. Like, you thinking real big right now, Virgo. You thinking about the soul contracts that are just like translucent past this realm. Okay, this is some otherworldly shit you thinking of. Okay, but as a true Virgo rising with your perfectionist tendencies, you already have a vision in your head who you want this person to be, what you want them to act like, and like down to a T. Okay, it almost gives like a delusion type of energy when it comes to this idea of this perfect human. Okay, now, y'all know I always say on this channel now, those relationships and partnerships are those mirrors that we need to be seeing, honey. Now, I say that to say this. A lot of times, how we treat ourselves is how others will treat us in return as well, because of the fact that people do come into our lives as mirrors. Our subconscious kind of plays a role in, bringing around those people who kind of bring out that energy, okay? When you start accepting the imperfections of yourself, you create an energy of compassion. Now, Virgo, your sister sign is Pisces. So there are similarities in Pisces, but there are some differences, and compassion tends to be one of them. A lot of times, Virgo risings, you get caught up in the want to make things right or make things nice, and it really does come from a genuinely loving place. However, it's not expressed that way. You know what I mean? So the love that you give yourself will be the type of love that you will attract that will last generations. Okay, so the gift that Neptune is giving you is that sacred mirror to be able to look. Okay, and also that soul union that you have been longing for. Neptune wants to give that to you, but just make sure that it is, we got to do the boundary now. There's no idolization going on in that relationship or any disillusionment. Okay. You got to be realistic all across the board. So your anchor is going to be your radical honesty with yourself and your occasional reality check that you're going to have to give yourself. Okay. Don't get so caught up in the fantasy you forget the reality. Okay. Now, for my Libra risings, this actually falls in your 6th house. Okay. Now, this deals with service and health. Also deals with your health and wellness and your everyday routine. Okay. Now, this energy is definitely bringing in compassion into service, as well as creating a work that naturally heals not only yourself, but others. You really are craving your day-to-day life to have like some type of meaning, some deeper meaning to it. Also, with this type of transit, you probably have been dealing with some type of health issue or ailment that nobody has quite been able to put their finger on. So it can bring about some type of confusion when it comes to your health and wellness. Okay. Now, another thing that has been going on is you have been really self-sacrificing yourself when it comes to your job or just your everyday to day routines. Like, just what you do in the household, just how you manage your day. Like, it's been really self-sacrificing to a point to where sometimes it can run you down. Like, that might be the health issues that you're running into is you doing too damn much. Okay. You have got to find your daily rhythm. Okay. You got to honor your spirit. Disease in the body is caused by dis-ease in the spirit. Okay. Libra risings, you have a tendency to let people overwalk your boundaries anyway when it comes to people that you love and care about. This is not the time for that. Okay. Your health is on the line. Okay. Stop letting them do that. All right. Now, your gift during this time is your compassionate service. Like, we enjoy that. We love that from you. And the healing work that you've been doing. Now, where the boundary needs to come in is the blurred work and boundaries and day-to-day boundaries, as well as the restlessness in your spirit. And this is definitely coming from just having too much on your plate and the ability to not say no. Your anchor is definitely going to be the ability to say no, define your routine, and assert your needs. Okay. And that's at work. That's at home. That's just on your day to day. Okay. You're going to have to really, really assert your boundaries during this time. Now, my Scorpio risings, this falls in your 5th house, which deals with your creativity, your joy. Also deals with a little bit of your romance. Now, this energy probably brought about a lot of joy, like a lot of dreamlike magic to your romance life, as well as your creativity and any type of projects that you've had. Right now, you got your Scorpio mystic sauce on every project that you put out. Okay. And your energy is really giving off like this really overall healing quality. Dating right now almost feels like a spiritual process for you. You're meeting individuals who definitely bond with you on a deeper level. And if you haven't already met them, your energy is definitely drawing out to them for them to come into your energetic field, okay? Now, the caution with this is that there could be like this idealization of the love or the creative projects that you're doing that can sometimes be a little delusional, okay? And this is dangerous for you because you are very possessive, okay? And you feel it so deeply. So when it doesn't turn out exactly the way that you envisioned it, you're being really hard on yourself, okay? And it's not even how you envision the project itself, it's how you envision the response. This is going to be a time where you really fully trust yourself, okay? Scorpio risings, you already have trust issues, okay? But this is going to be a time where you also going to have to really trust your creativity and not rely on anyone else to kind of give you that. So your gift during this time is those translucent romance as well as that majestic art that you are getting ready to put out, baby. But you got to have the boundary when it comes to the illusion of love. And also understanding that any creative blocks that you may experience is definitely coming from a place of wanting to satisfy others and not your own creative energy, okay? Your anchor during this time is going to be to channel your magic into tangible art and remain authentic during this experience and shine your light and not try and shine someone else's, okay? Now for my Sagittarius risings, this falls in your 4th house of home and family. This energy definitely went deep into the ancestral vault, okay? Typically on the maternal side of the family, okay? This energy definitely gives clearing out old wounds. It definitely played a part in your home life. This energy definitely brought about a compassion that maybe you didn't have before about healing some of those old wounds that were from family. Now, this energy definitely can blur the lines a little bit between past and present, and it makes it really hard to discern whether or not the energies were just created or if they are something that has been going on since, forever in the fabric, in the root, okay? Issues around boundaries being crossed was a big thing, okay? But you definitely have to stop allowing the past to bleed on the present. After all, you do not want to dig up this root just to replant it, okay? For another umpteen centuries, okay? So your gift during this time will be the ability to heal that old wound and heal that history, okay? Now you do want to create that boundary when it comes to blurring those lines from past and present and making sure that you keep anxiety out of the home. Your anchor is definitely going to come from processing the history, defining your physical home boundaries and your boundaries for the future. And stand on those boundaries. Don't be afraid to stand on those boundaries, period. All right, for my Cap risings, this actually falls in the 3rd house of communication, education, short distance travel, and your neighbors and siblings. Now, Neptune has been affecting and impacting your surroundings, your communication, your writing, and your close relationships, like I said, like your siblings or your neighbors in your area, okay? Now, this has definitely heightened your sensitivity a lot, okay? And it definitely brought you closer to the ones that are around you. But all the information that you've been receiving in the recent years has been a lot, okay? And it's been like it feels like it's too much. You have definitely been getting some deeply intuitive messages within your dreams. But the information comes across as very confusing. Like there's a lot of misunderstandings because the information is very unclear. Now, because Saturn is your home, okay, and it leads your chart overall, you are definitely feeling this transit a lot because of the transit of the Pisces going through Saturn. And your home planet and Neptune has been rolling tight lately, okay? So Neptune has definitely been providing some cloudiness when it comes to a lot of the communication and information that you've been receiving. And you definitely have had to turn into your discernment during this time, okay? This energy definitely was giving a lot of misunderstandings around that time, or just confusion of what is being learned or what you're learning or just what you're saying. Now, during this time, you either deepen the bond or you completely cut it off. Okay, there was no in between when it come down to it. Okay. Now, your gift during that time was that heightened sensitivity and those deepened bonds that you were able to formulate. However, you did need to make sure that you have your boundaries when it comes to overwhelming yourself with your surroundings, other people's issues, as well as confusion or miscommunication when it comes to communicating with others, especially your neighbors or your siblings. Now, your anchor comes in when you're able to speak your mind clearly, and that's by just making sure that you slow down. Capricorn energy, Saturn is more of a slower planet anyway. It's a little older planet, so it doesn't want to move too fast. However, third house energy is very fast moving. It's Gemini, it's Mercury. Mercury moves fast, so yeah. This definitely was not an easy transit for you. However, you are making it out. And of course, you're going to come out on top. Ashe. Now, on to my Aquarius risings. Now, this actually falls in your second house of resources. Now, this deals with your income, your assets, as well as your self-worth, baby. You are definitely closing out a cycle for your family of this low self-worth type of energy that's going on for generations. Now, I know that kind of hits heavy, and I'm not saying that your family has had an issue when it comes to money overall. Now, you yourself may have had an issue when it comes to assets and income. Like, it may feel like money just kind of flows through you, and it doesn't really build up when it comes to you. You know what I mean? Now, this placement actually gives like this financial intuitiveness to it. But like I said before, it moves fast. Like, it comes fast and it moves fast in this area for whatever reason. A lot of the self-worth in this energy deals with ancestral energy, and there's definitely a confusion when it comes to self-worth versus material worth. Like, material worth is associated with self-worth for whatever reason, and it's not. It's actually kind of the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have good self-worth to have your finances flowing freely like that, you know? And with that Saturn influence there, it definitely is tightening the belt, okay? So it definitely put a spotlight on your spending habits, as well as your self-worth and your financial discipline, as well as your self-discipline. It's time for you to start holding yourself accountable, not only when it comes to your money flow, but also the things that you indulge in order to make yourself feel better. Trust me, babes, there's nothing wrong with some retail therapy. Just make sure that this is not your solution, okay? So your gift during this time definitely is your creative income and your intuition that has been incredibly heightened during this time. Now, your boundary comes in with your finances. Now, you got to make sure that your spending habits is under control. And you also need to make sure that you are embodying self-worth. Your anchor is definitely going to be that, as well as keeping yourself accountable and learning how to indulge in yourself that doesn't have a price tag attached to it, okay? Now, for my Pisces risings, this actually falls in your first house of identity, okay? Now, out of all the placements, this is definitely the most potent one during this Neptune transit, okay? Now, Neptune was in the house of self, just self, nothing else, just you and Neptune, all right? And you definitely felt that energy. And you also could have felt like a chameleon during this time. You probably felt like you was capable of reflecting or doing anything, okay? Now, with that energy, though, you definitely ran the risk of becoming a chameleon to the point to where it was mirroring other people. You weren't being authentic to self, which that is the house of self. So you have to watch that, you know. Now, because Neptune is so empathic, this flowing through your first house and you being a Pisces rising, you are definitely feeling everyone's energy just like that. Your dreams were more vivid than they ever had been. And you feel an incredible deep connection with the world around you and everything in it, okay? Now, I'm almost positive during this time you had really a lack of boundaries, okay? You've been taking on a lot of emotions and feelings that ain't got nothing to do with your ass, okay? To the point where it just caused an identity fog. You had a hard time knowing who you were. And some of you, you had a hard time knowing who you are. Some of you are still there. Now, the art of delusion is beautiful when you're manifesting. However, when you're trying to create things into reality, it doesn't work that well when you're bringing it into the physical realm, okay? You have definitely had a lot of creative projects that are just kind of still on the board, all right? Now, Saturn has been making it a lot harder for you. For the universe to just give you things that it normally would just bless you with, okay? Pisces, you still got that Jupiter energy on you, okay? So you definitely have the luck of the stars typically, but with Saturn there, it's really been, putting it in your life, okay? Now, your gift during this time was definitely those deep connections and that chameleon energy. All right. Now, the boundary has to kind of come in at this point because of the identity fog that you probably were starting to feel, because of the fact that you were feeling everybody's feelings and you were going through that chameleon stage where you were just basically melting in wherever you were. And I know you probably were dealing with sensory overload because you were feeling everything from everybody. Okay. Now, your anchor is definitely going to come in with your grounding practices as well as asserting your selfhood. Okay. And what I mean by that is just making sure that you know who you are and asserting that. Okay. You have to learn how to stop blending in just so you don't have to be seen. You have a habit of wanting to blend in just so you won't have to stand out. It's time for you to stand up and be confident in who you are, Pisces risings. So that's it for my Pisces risings. Now, y'all listen. I made this video long as hell. Now, I'll put the journal prompts and the affirmations in the description. Y'all know I love to typically do those in my videos. However, this video is very, very long, so I didn't really want to add into any more of that. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video though and you made it with me this long, then thank you for sticking it out with me, and definitely go ahead and hit that like and go ahead and subscribe to your girl, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this cosmic tea that I want to sip with you. I'm out, Cosmic Cousins.